This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, June 18th, 2019, episode 231. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. And of course, visit our website anytime, which is infectionpodcast.com. Joining me from the great state of Boise, Idaho, Brian.
Where everybody wishes they were.
I'm not going to get into that. Brian with an I, Aldridge. What's going on, Brian?
Not too much. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. And then the place you want to really go check out is infectionpodcast.com. On there on the right-hand side, you'll notice a little green button that says join our Discord server. And that is the place you can come in if you want to give news suggestions, you want to discuss various games. We got a lot of cool things that are happening there. So click that. It's a free app, easy to use. We also have our Steam group. So before the live show, we have a notification that pops up letting you know it's about to go on. We have our YouTube channel, our Twitch channel. We have all the audio forms that you can try to get on there, and show notes for each episode that we've done up to this point. Also on the left-hand side, we have a support us tab. So if you're interested in purchasing things through Humble Bundle, or maybe you want to go through and use Amazon, there's a link that you can do for that. Or you can give us direct PayPal donations. That's one way that you could support the show and help us with some of the expenses that we get incur with PAX. So,
which is soon.
All the self-promotion. Yeah, it's coming up. How soon?
West.packsite.com. It is coming up in just about 70 days. So
70 days.
Yeah,
okay.
we need to wrap up. We need to wrap up all of our loose ends out there. But yes, we're looking forward to PAX. We're gonna have a great show for you, as always, as we try to at least every year at those trade shows. Because I mean, I don't know. It's not. I think I mentioned on last week's show. Not these big gaming sites, these big gaming companies don't really cover our little niche that we've got here in the survival scape. So it's cool for us to go out there, and we kind of we don't ignore it, but we don't really spend a whole lot of time infatuated over the Sony booth or the Microsoft booth.
Yeah, we're not going for the big titles. We're trying to find the ones that either are our particular interest or ones that are up and coming that we think might be interesting that no one's noticed yet.
Yeah, and of course, the BR craze is that's kind of shoehorned into our little genre a little bit. But Brian, I want to open with something here, and we talked a little bit about this before show, but we got a comment on our last video on YouTube, and we were talking about we're not really playing a whole lot of video games, and I got the comment was left, what are the main games that you're enjoying yourself at the moment? And I thought about it, and you and I have discussed we're really not playing a whole lot of anything. I'm playing
mostly PS4 games.
What are you playing on the PS4 right now?
So I've been playing Days Gone.
Okay.
And so that is a zombie kind of survival-ish type of a game. That's the main thing. I'll play some Days Gone. Someone did send me Notorious. He sent me Mordau.
Maltros, yes. He sent me a copy of that. Oh, man, I was hoping it was just me that got a copy. Damn you.
Yeah, so I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, so he had sent me a copy to try out. So we'll have to do that at some point this week. Or
yeah, we will.
Week. See if it's any good. He said it's a nice balance. I'm just from memory. He said it's kind of a nice balance of a game. So we'll have to see if I've seen a lot of people playing it.
Likewise, a lot of people playing it. For myself, I've been playing a little bit of League, but I've really been playing in the past, I'll call it week and a half, 2 weeks, a lot of Dead by Daylight. Our friend Firebomb, who first turned me onto the game originally, then vanished and is now back and playing. So I'm playing with him. I'm playing with our friend Saul, Green Man, and we had a really good time on Game of the Week. We had a full group, and we were pub stomping a little bit. We were terrorizing some killers with the swiftness in which we were securing generators and escaping last week in Dead by Daylight. And as we discussed last week, we're going to be putting Game of the Week on a summer hiatus. I'm out of town this Friday. next Friday and the Friday after. And Brian, you've mentioned you've got some stuff going on, so the whole structured game thing on a Friday is not it just doesn't make sense as we move into the summer months here. So we're gonna put a little break on it. When something big comes up, when there's an update for a game, Miscreated, 7 days, whatever, Unturned, whatever it may be, we'll schedule something. But for the time being, we still encourage you to join us in our Discord on Friday night, and if you're around playing something. But we're gonna take our foot off the gas.
Not going to be a guarantee.
Exactly, not going to be a guarantee. And if we're and Brian and I are around and we're playing something, we'll promote it in the Discord. We'll let everybody know. So, moral of the story: be in Discord, and if and when something is being played at any point during the week, you can join us in there. Yeah, and I think we even played. We played on Saturday night too. We played on Friday night for Game of the Week, and then I must have played for an hour, a couple hours Saturday night as well. So, so we're able to do.
I did see some notifications popping up, so on my phone.
Oh yes, yeah. We were letting all the people know that we were we were playing Dead by Daylight. So that worked out. I think that covers the YouTube comment I wanted to get to. We talked about what we're playing. We're not doing a game of the week. All right. Well, with that being said, where we've got a decent amount of news to get to here, what's a good starting point for you?
Well, how about let's talk a little bit about Miscreated, because they came out with a pretty big update. They came out with their 1.2.0 update on the 13th. And one thing that they added that I wasn't expecting is airdrops. So they've added airdrops, and they said, of course, courtesy of the amalgamated, right? Amalgamated.
I'm glad you tried to pronounce that, because I was just going to say a company.
Yeah, amalgamated company, corporation, and this is their kind of fictitious company that's in the game that it probably, I think, caused some of these issues that you're running into. At a random interval, a plane will fly across the map and drop a crate at a random location, and they're generally themed. So this will be medical, military, various things. So if you get to the crate, it's not going to have a mix of those things. It'll be one specific set. But the content themselves are random. So you'll get medical supplies, but there's no guarantee on what medical supplies you'll get. Another thing that they've done is they talk about the need for a central i3D database, which is their hosting company that they use, is now removed. And so, and it will no longer be supported. So all i3D servers, which have been using a central database, will now automatically import all existing data to a local SQLite file and database, which is just, it's a file-based database. MySQL is one that's a server-based database, everything's stored off-site, or inside of a program. This one's just a file that, one nice thing is it's easy to back up. You just back up a file, make a copy, and then you have it.
Minecraft does something similar to this, right?
Yeah, most servers do this. There are a few that will use some sort of an external database, but most of them will use a flat file like this. So on each server start, the server will automatically make a copy of that database, the Microsoft.db or miscreated.db, in a folder named database backups. So it'll back itself up each time you start, so you don't have to worry so much about it getting corrupted. The last 20 copies of the database will be kept in that folder. So if you've restarted 20 times in the last month, you won't have past a month in there. It'll just keep those copies. Custom chat commands. They said the method for creating custom chat commands has been changed. We'll make modding in new chat commands a lot easier.
Cool.
For example, you can go into a Lua file. So there's a scripts /game rules /chat commands /examples.lua in the scripts.pack file, and you can go in there and see how they've had commands put in there, and you can add your own custom ones. They've been focusing on the modding. So Lua script binds have been added to expose some parts of the base building system. Also, Lua script binds have been added to expose some parts of the faction system. So this is, they're putting things in there so you can actually make mods that change the base building system, or that will let you play with the faction system.
What do they mean by expose? Because when you hear the word expose, that's typically used as like a negative term, like your data was exposed by Walmart. Now they have your social security number. What is this? What are they exposing here?
So they're just normally something that you would have no ability to interact with. some piece of information, they are now giving you the equivalent of a hook. They're giving you a way to either say, give me this information or let me set this information. So that's what they mean by expose. They're just giving you a path to be able to interact and either get it or change it. Lewis scripts binds have been added to expose all player stats so they can be read or modified. So as I said, they can read or modify these things, such as stamina, poison, all those different things that you see in your stats bar. They fixed an editor crash using the reload all script menu option in the editor. Also, they fixed an issue where spawned in jerry cans and propane tanks would have water inside of them.
Whoops.
Which that's what happens when you copy and paste the you're like, oh, here's a water can. Let's make this another type of can. Let's copy and paste this.
Yeah, just change the model, but don't change the contents of it.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. We forgot to change the. Yeah.
What gun was that in H1Z one? They added a new weapon and they copied over the ammo.
Something fire. Was it the Rage Fire or whatever?
Spitfire? That's an H1Z one gun. Or that's a Call of Duty gun. I don't know, but they copied over the ammo and the ammo was for another gun. And
Hellfire. Was
yeah,
it the Hellfire?
Yeah, I think it was the Hellfire. Yeah. And the ammo was for like the revolver. And they just copied. They just copied.
Oh well, that's what happens.
What are you gonna do?
You're trying to be quick, and you don't want to. You're trying to this is mostly the same.
Nobody plays on the test server anyway, so who cares? Publish it to live.
Yeah. Find out later. Now with crafting, they reduced the number of iron ingots from 4 to 2 for crafting sheet metal. It seems like they've really been backing off on making it easier to have sheet metal, and I wonder if that's because they're trying to make it easier to build.
Yeah,
that's one thing we always struggled with. They reduced the number of iron ingots from 2 to 1 for crafting nails, once again for building. They added several more country flags that can be crafted as a base building part. Craftable ammo boxes have been added. They reduced the crafting time on biofuel and C4 bricks. So they're wanting people to raid or drive vehicles, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Adjusted C4 trap recipes to be crafted with a C4 explosive instead of the individual components. So you can use a C4 that you've already made, and then you can use that to make a trap.
Now they've done
all the items before.
They've done some interesting things here with bases, Brian. This has been one of the big issues. I would make. Here's the thing. Let's be open and out front with this. We are not professionals in Miscreated. We've got some experience, but the barrier to entry has been so high that frankly I don't feel like dealing with it. so that let's take that for what it is. But there were always a couple of big issues, base building being one of them, and they've done some changes here to the bases. So only a clan owner and officer now can invite someone to a clan, and the invite to the clan action will only appear if the inviter's weapon is lowered. So this is how they're handling this. So if you want to invite your friend, they've got to not holster the weapon, but what's it called when you're holding it up? You have to essentially lower your weapon down for you to get an invite. Yeah. And damage to base parts is now determined by the closest point on the part's bounding box to the explosion point. So even if a corner is within range, it will take some time to damage. So what I think probably was happening is people were just attacking the corner of pieces of bases, and it was doing damage to full walls and structures, even though you were doing a lot of damage to just one little corner.
One section.
So they've changed that and part of that. So with those base changes, they've also done some other things in the game. If you type the !base chat command in, because they said they've redone chat, if you do !base in the chat now, it will display information about your base on the current server, and it will also input information about a clan member's base if you don't actually own the base. So they've done a couple different things there with bases to I don't know, I don't know what info, it doesn't say what information it's going to display. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to display health, decay time, location. I'm not really sure what that, I don't know if location would kind of be cool because there is a grid system.
It'd be nice, but
yeah. So we're not sure what exactly.
It is kind of strange.
It is a little strange. I don't believe any other game we've ever played has had any type of chat-based
feedback,
base
remote feedback.
Yeah, for base. I don't know what is the door on? I don't really know what they could display. I guess anything.
Your door's locked.
yeah, who knows? So in terms of other game things, they fixed an issue where players remaining within another player's relevance range would not equip their clothes correctly. So when it was 2 players respawned in and you were getting, relevance is getting their information, right, Brian? Am I saying that correctly? Mm-hmm. Relevance is, I know Brian's over here and I can see all his information because he's close enough to me that I could potentially interact with him.
And this was the thing that they really struggled with in the beginning, was getting this relevance correctly working, because remember, it was sending everybody's information. I mean, if you look at like a year or two, I don't remember how long ago now, it was sending everybody's information no matter where they were on the server, because it wasn't doing relevance checks. It wasn't making sure your location and your information is actually relevant to where I am at in the game at this moment.
I talked about last week, your internet, I believe early on, your internet connection was unable to handle playing the game. You could only have like 8 people on a server, and I remember you saying your internet was at home was unusable.
It was peaking it,
using max bandwidth to play with 8 other people on the server.
8 players on the server, and it would just start lagging you out.
Yeah, hose your home internet connection, which is a little nuts. So they've some issues with the relevance system there, with clothes not displaying properly. Empty backpacks and primary weapons with attachments can now be stored in crates, tents, and vehicles. This is all. H1Z1 is, I can feel it. This is part of being able to store things in a base and have an actual reason to build a base, which was always the biggest issue. There's no reason to build a base because you couldn't store a damn thing in it, and you build the base and somebody would destroy it.
People were just storing things in vehicles. Yeah. They just have a truck sitting on the side of the map and holding everything.
Portable base. There was no reason to build a base. Way too much time, way too much effort, and not enough storage. So they fixed that. A couple things there. They fixed the SV_password, so it can now be used on clients, requiring to connect a password for a protected server. So prompt you now for a password on a protected server. They fixed the wrong chat message when you can no longer harvest from a coal or pyrite node. So the display message probably says this resource is empty or no more harvesting allowed, something like that. They fixed incorrect error messages displaying when trying to join a server, mods versus whitelisted error messages. So now it will indicate what the problem is. Is there an issue with the server, out of date? Are you whitelisted? Are you not whitelisted? Whatever it may be. Are you banned? Who knows? They adjusted the refill timer on harvestable resource nodes. So those resources will now respawn on I would assume a quicker refill time than they were previously. They fixed an issue that could cause bases to be validated a lot more times than they needed to be. Falling parts check. So I don't know if you can explain that to me. What are they validating? That the base is there and exists?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what they mean by falling parts check. So fix an issue where they cause the base to be validated a lot more times than needed. I would assume, I understand what they may mean by validated, but falling parts check, like, I don't know what that means, unless they're saying when it's destroyed, decay, like resources fall. Or maybe they mean like failing parts check or something. Who knows? They could have spelled it wrong. But I would assume that it's during the process, it's making sure that it's not decayed on the server. It's probably just checking it too much. Because you got to think, when servers are spread around a map, when nobody's around them, well, how is it you don't want to have everything running at the same time on the server? You only want, once again, relevance. I'm wondering if they go through and on a timer, they kind of check to make sure that all the bases aren't decayed, or that there's something that needs to be done every once in a while. That's the only thing I can think of. That's kind of weird way to falling parts check. I just don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, you and me both. Moving on from that, they fixed an issue where the actions menu would not appear at times when targeting a crate, fireplace, or furnace. A little bit of a UI bug there. This one's near and dear to my heart. Fixed an issue with weather mods not being properly loaded on the clients. Big problem here. You got to have your weather mods loading correctly. That's a game-breaking issue.
Practically, that's what this game is about.
Yeah, it's all about the weather and cool looking at the water droplets bounce off the ground. They enabled a server countdown to restart warning message, so you can now alert your player. If it's self-hosted server, you can alert your players to wrap it up and get off. They enabled, for admins, I would assume they enabled the uptime and restart commands. So if a server's a little laggy, now we don't have to pester Brian if we're hosting the server. We can just go ahead and do a restart by ourselves.
I'll just make sure that command's available to everybody.
Yeah, everybody in the server. So, get in a gunfight, restart the server, and don't log back on. And then finally here,
forget battle logging. Let's just restart.
Yeah, I saw a GIF. I don't know what game it was. It was, I think it was a Minecraft GIF on R Gaming. And yes, this is what it was. It was on R Gaming the other day, and the guys were screwing out with TNT with it inside their house, and they were placing it and destroying it, and one guy accidentally lit it, And the guy really quickly typed in the chat, stop. And the server ended. And they logged back in and the TNT had blown up anyway and destroyed everything around them. So yes,
Nice.
that's a battle logging. Just restart the whole server. You're good to go. And then don't log back in.
One of the first, a long time ago, I was playing Minecraft with Laura, and I was trying to make a nice, we were building a house and wanted to put a nice little lava feature somewhere.
Oh, yes.
And that did not go over
Rookie
well
mistake.
because it ended up burning down everything and all the trees all around the house. It was just like we're sitting there helpless watching
I remember
it just fall apart.
You guys are yelling. You're like,
horrible.
It's all burning down, or like
it
water.
was horrible.
Yeah, don't build your base out of wood.
I was like, I can't even like get water fast enough or do anything fast enough to prevent this. I panicked.
Yes. So now if you're panicking and miscreated, you can just restart the server if you're an admin. And then finally, traps. This was another game fix. Traps that didn't get destroyed when triggered will now trigger when they take any damage. So the bear trap, cans traps, etc. And then finally, a couple quick things here. Item changes. Ropes can now be stackable in groups of 10. They increase the number of rounds of ammo boxes. Increase the number of rounds ammo boxes can hold. So more ammo per box potentially, but also increase their weight. So they'll weigh a little more, but they'll store more ammo, which will be good for looting. You'll find more ammo, hopefully. Ammo boxes display what type of ammo they can hold on their inventory icon. Improve the C4 explosion particle effect and change the sound effect it uses. So just an improvement there. And then improved the particle effect that is displayed when using the pickaxe. And finally, fixed issues related to packing up traps, aka picking them back up after you've deployed them, with the C4, cans, and flare. So a couple of item game fixes, base fixes. But before we move on, Brian, I do want to talk about the importance of the airdrops in this game.
Yes.
This game lacks... Oh, God. I don't know. I'm not a professional, but I just feel like it lacks things to do. You get very bored very quickly, and you shouldn't, because it's a very vast environment. There's a whole lot of things to do, but you play for 2.5 hours, and you're like, oh my God, I'm done.
And you generally avoid combat because it's so hard to get back to that point, and you lose everything in combat. Like if you're the one who dies, you lose everything. And so it's just like, and everybody just ends up quitting after they die the first time. And so I think that here, come up with other ways to get people guns, to get them various things that they want, other than looting for 3 or 4 or 5 hours sometimes. I mean, it seems like when we were in there, that we haven't really been tempted to play again as a group because we played for how long? Like 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, called 2 hours.
And we had some helmets and a gun. I mean, yeah. And we didn't really have very many bullets to really go around. It was just, and then we end up getting into some fights with some people. And then once we all end up dying once, we're just like, all right, but see you guys later.
That's 2 times ago, I believe. The last time we played, Brian, we frankly were just like, I don't want to play anymore. We've done a little bit of looting.
Oh yeah, that was 2 times ago. And then this last time we were looted up, but it's like we were just running around that town, and it's just like, okay,
what the hell are we gonna do? And these airdrops, well, first of all, I'm hoping that they're going to be very well packed with resources. That would be the smart thing to do, is make them very resource heavy, like literally a whole base in an airdrop. Like you find this airdrop, you can build a very beginner starter base. That would be very clutch, as well as medical and military and stuff like that. I think this, as we've discussed now the past couple of months with this game, this is the steps that need to be taken in the right direction, because they have got to do something to just, there is no draw factor into the game. You play, and it's, you can't say I'm wrong. Their current players is like 700 people. So there's clearly, and they've got a whole bunch of copies sold. Why are people playing for short stints of time and not coming back? And the only thing I have is that there's just nothing to do. It's just very milquetoast. It's just very bland and gray and bleh.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's a beautiful world, but there's not enough things to do in the world, and the PvP is too much of a permadeath. Yeah, and there's really, up to this point, no base building. They keep making base building easier, making it more accessible. I think that will draw people in, but at this point, it's just like, it's too much work to build a base. Takes too long to get loot. You only get one PvP. I mean, you're playing all night and you get 1 or 2 PvP matches. It's just they need to correct those issues, and then people will play it.
Yeah,
because all the elements are there.
That's the thing that's so frustrating, is we're constantly looking for the just survive, alternative, remake, whatever you want to call it, the equivalent. And I've said this from day one, and you and I have both said this, Brian. Miscreated has got all of the core elements of just survive, but for some reason, and we know the reasons, but it just doesn't do it. It doesn't scratch the same thing that just survive scratched, and a lot of it is, as you said, the permadeath, the hard. It's too hard. It's not that it's too hard. It's just that it's too
long.
There you go. Too long of a game. It's just, I have a job.
They don't. The thing is, some games you put a lot of time in, but the thing is they're keeping a carrot in front of you. There's always a carrot that's kind of drawing you along that whole time. This has no carrot. Like, you're just then repeating the same thing over again that you just did. There's no thing in front of you. It's like, okay, it's a start over. It's a reset button rather than a carrot that's continuing to go forward.
Yeah. Go into house, get loot, eat food. Food makes you poison it. Food makes you have poison, toxic. Go find antibiotics, eat the antibiotics. By that time, you're ready to eat again. The food is tainted. And that's very early game. Games like Ark, you get all the way to the end, Brian, and we were there. You get all the way to the end, and then you have the monotony of feeding the troughs and going out and killing things. But that doesn't happen on hour 3 of Ark.
Quite a while.
That happens 4 weeks in of you playing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not day 3. Or excuse me, not hour 3. Miscreated hour 3. You're like, what the hell? What am I supposed to do now? We've repaired a truck.
Yeah, what's next?
And now what? Now we just drive around and we kill anything we see, and that's GG. It's very frustrating because it's got all the elements.
Yeah, and that's where I think they'd be able to tweak things and make it just a little more accessible, and people would be more interested in playing it.
Yeah. If you
it wouldn't take that much to do. It's just you got to just tweak it. Like they don't tweak it very often. And I think they're so worried about making it easier, and I think that's part of the issue. They don't want to make it easier. But if people aren't playing the game, try it. I mean, the goal is to have people play the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only way that you can keep the servers up and the employees and they've got probably half a dozen, if not more, people that we know publicly that are working on it. I mean, it's the only way you keep that going. Now, if you are a Miscreated player, because I know they're out there and they get a little pissy with us. If you're a Miscreated player, send us an email at contact@infectionpodcast.com or tweet us and let us know why we're wrong. Tell us what we're missing. Enlighten us. This is not, we have been told we were wrong on games before. Russ was a great example. Our friend Dirty wrote us a book, practically an email, which I appreciated, and told us what we needed to do. And guess what? We did it, and we had a very good experience. And our outlook, Brian and I's opinions on Rust, changed based on that. So we don't have all the answers, even though our intro says we have all the answers. We don't have all the answers, but we just, if this is your game, this is your thing, tell us why we're wrong, and we'll be willing to try and listen. But nobody's ever told me
Nick
why
will
we're wrong.
apologize. Nick will apologize for talking smack.
But you can't just put a tweet out and say, well, don't talk about things unless you've tried it. That's not the solution to the problem. Tell me why I'm playing the game incorrectly. We played Rust incorrectly. We went on big public servers that were groups that were on the server for weeks already. We didn't know anything about jumping on a wipe cycle. We didn't know anything about the different server variants that were in there. That's just ignorance on our part, because we talk about 4 dozen games every week, and I don't have time to research all of them. Brian and I both have Brian's in school full time. I work full time. We don't have time to figure out every nook and cranny about all these games. So if we're wrong about Miscreated or any other game, tell us. Let us know. We will. I want to love this game, but I can't, because every time we play, it's the same damn thing over and over again.
Well, and we even tried changing it up a little bit. We were like, okay, we're going to make a base, and we made a base, but they were so bugged that we could never keep a base. Like, it'd always be destroyed the next day.
Yeah.
And this time we were like, okay, we're going to PvP. We PvP'd, and It didn't change the game for us.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like for us to make a base, we just had to sit there and grind to get
we had
a very basic base.
Big group, 6-8 people or something like that.
Yeah, and we still barely made a base, and then it was immediately gone the next day.
Yeah, logged in, and I was like, and it's all gone.
Yeah, and we're done.
Yeah, we're done. So that's Miscreated. Pretty big update. The couple big things in there: the airdrops and the server decentralization, which is good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about Remnants, or do you want to talk about updates for another game?
Let's go and talk about Remnants.
All right. So I saw a tweet the other day, Sunday. I saw a tweet about Remnants, and I was like, oh my God, Remnants. We talked about Remnants. They had a Kickstarter.
Yep.
Australian, I believe, or New Zealand. The money was in not US dollars on Kickstarter, from what I remember. And they wanted to raise about $20,000 US dollars. They raised about 1,300, so way under the goal. And Western Australia is their location. And Remnants is just it's another survival game. And a tweet was put out Sunday by their main Twitter account, which is @RemnantsGame, from the main developer, and it says, just dropped a large update for the pre-alpha. My day job has finally slowed down, allowing me to work on the game again. Multiplayer is coming soon. Please report any bugs to my Discord channel. Thanks. And there's a pretty cool image here attached. It looks real pretty, Brian. I mean, this is another game that looks like it has a lot of potential. I mean, this is a nice looking image. And I know you've talked a little bit about your experience in game development, but I think this we've been talking about this, Brian. What point do these games struggle because, and it's not a fault of the developers, but this is not their full-time job. And they, by the way, I forgot to mention prior to this, they have not done an update since March. Now, the game is not out yet. It's in pre-alpha, but you're talking more than 2 months without an update.
Well, I mean, they really making $1,300, you said. Honestly, that's not enough to do anything.
Well, it was canceled, so I don't think they got it at all.
Yeah, so they didn't get any money. I'm surprised they're still kind of pushing it forward. It sounds like a passion project, but you'll run into a lot of game devs. And personally, on my project, I'm coming into my final 2 months of my school. And so I'm just like, I got to finish this.
Yeah.
I got to do my school. But I've not pushed and said, all right, here I'm releasing a game, because I realize that at this point in time, my priority is school. I'm not going to put out a game and then be like, oh, I'll work on it every 3 months. That's just, I think you run into that to where these guys, they want to be a game developer. They want to put these things out, but it takes a lot of time. There's so much competition out there. It's very difficult to do. And these guys get in there and it's like, okay, I'm going to put in 3 hours a day. That's still not enough. 2 hours a day, maybe they're doing 1 hour a day. That is not enough to maintain a large game.
I don't want to take this as bashing, because it's not. Bro, this is news to everybody, Brian. I don't think I've even told you this. For a very brief period of time, started working on a little game in Unity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even think we talked about this. And when I say I literally got nothing done, I mean I literally got nothing done. And I put a little bit of time into it. So this is not coming from, oh, look at me, I'm a professional, whatever. But it just, I wonder, because this is not the first game this has done this. Hide and Hold Out, H2O, was in a very similar situation.
Very easy to do.
Why are these, I'm going to say guys, why are these developers publishing and making their game available in public? Your game is pretty private. It's a lot more public to me as you and I talk on a more regular basis. But you've kept it very private. Yeah. But a lot of these, and so if you just decide tomorrow, I'm done with the project, I'm scrapping it, I can't finish it. There's not this grand hope, grand expectation.
And I haven't asked anybody for money, right?
Well, there's another part of it. But with these games, why are God, I'm not trying to discourage him.
Let me tell you one thing that these guys haven't thought out. So with part of what my YouTube channel is me breaking down each element of a game and making a video on how to do each of those elements. I think a lot of these guys get into game development. They get to the early stage where I've made somewhat of a landscape. I've got most of the basic features. But here you see a note that says multiplayer is coming soon. I think most people fail to realize how difficult real, correct multiplayer is. They start running through and they're like, hey, I've almost got a game here. I got it to where a player can run around the map. I can do each of these things. But then when it comes to multiplayer, in Unreal, there's a thing called replication. Replication is very important because it is telling the server what information you're sending to the server and what information to send you. So you're sending to the server, here is, I'm holding a weapon, for instance. Well, if you don't do replication correctly, and you could have a player that is running around, to them that looks like they're holding a weapon, but you don't see a weapon in their hands. Little things like that. Well, that spread across every little detail of anything. And this is why Mavericks, for instance, I was kind of a little bit leery of what they were saying, right? And I expressed that, I think, in the first week or two, because they are talking about the technical abilities of the technology, but not in the real world. Just because you can have the server do all this work in the background, well, here's a shocker. You have to actually send that to individual clients. You have to send that, just like Miscreated ran into, there was a bandwidth limit. You could say, all right, I'm going to have it to where you can light this grass on fire and every blade of grass, catches on fire and you can see it happening in real time. And it's the same across all the different clients. And you're seeing that exact same thing. Well, okay, sure. You could make a server that's capable of doing that. But what happens when I try to then send information of, let's say, 500,000 blades of grass? That's being conservative.
Oh, yeah. lots of blades of grass.
The details of 500,000 blades of grass in, like a second. Okay, well, it doesn't matter if the server is capable of doing it. Your connection cannot handle me sending you the details of 500,000 blades of grass at once.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of work in the background to make a truly replicated, well-working game, especially when you have PvP combat, guns happening, physics happening. It's a lot. That all comes to say, it's a lot more work than people think to do it correctly. You can do it halfway. People will replicate everything. Well, you run out of bandwidth. That's the easy way. You got to go through and pick and choose and say every little thing and very consistently do it so that people aren't getting too much information, but they're still seeing all the same things as the other players.
So the goal with this conversation is not to discourage, attack, or go after people that are doing things. Because again, I haven't done this. I haven't done this. I'm not trying to cast, but I just think that if I'm speaking to developers that are interested in doing a game but have full-time job commitments, in your case, full-time school commitments, you've got to keep this stuff on the DL until you are really ready to ramp it up.
Yeah.
Because I literally, Brian, did the word Remnants was not even in my brain until I saw this tweet on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I just didn't, I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot about this game. We talked about this game extensively during their Kickstarter. We promoted it for 3 or 4 weeks straight on their before their Kickstarter. I talked to the developer. We private messaged back and forth about features of the game. I didn't even cross my mind because I haven't seen a single tweet.
And this is the one where they couldn't get back to us to even do an interview or something. Was this Remnants?
Maybe.
I think it was. I think it was. We said, hey, we'd like to talk to you about the game, and they didn't reply for a long time. And then they said, I think this is the guy who said, was this the guy who said he didn't have his computer? He didn't have a computer, or something had happened and he didn't have a computer. I think this was him.
I don't know. If not, you're defaming this this man.
If I remember correctly,
I'll have to go back in Discord and look. I'll find it, but I just there needs to be a there needs to be a level of secretness of a project until you are really ready to.
Well, can I tell you something from a legal standpoint?
Yeah, let's hear
it. The issue a lot of times when these guys go and give all the information about their projects and show it all off, but they're not anywhere near having it released. Once something is public knowledge, people can copy it. So all these features that you think make your game unique. This one is more of a old legacy Rust clone anyways.
Yeah, which is what it is.
So it's not as much of an issue. But if you think you have something unique and special, and you go and tell the world about it and say, I'm going to be making a game that has all of these features, well, you've just made it public knowledge. And now any other company is free to turn around and make a game that has all of those features. So game devs need to be a little bit wise about how they approach this sort of things.
In January, I chatted with somebody over there. I'm not going to give his name out. And we talked about it. And the response was, I have no time to talk. I have no time alone to talk and with a 3-year-old and work, but I'll be sure to ask the person who is their community manager if he'll do it. I said, awesome. Our community is super excited to see the game, super excited to see and learn more about the game. Nobody ever reached out to me. That was the last communication. Again, now I'm not trying to bash these people or anything, but this is not, there are tens of these examples, Brian, just in our little realm of survival video games. Why is there a reason that they do this open push to hope that maybe they strike fire and the game explodes in popularity very early on and they can fund it?
But if they're not able to make a game, the thing is, if they're not capable of making that, then what's the point? You can't throw money into it and fix. You could say, oh, we're just going to hire people. That's not how it works.
But I would make the argument,
you're not going to hire your way to success.
Well, I would agree, but the reason you can't even talk about hiring to success, because in the term of Remnants, they only wanted 20 grand. You can't pay anybody to do anything. I mean, 20 grand, you're going to hire a developer for 3 months, 6 months at 20 grand, one developer, and that's it.
Yep.
So
that's the difficulty. And that's the thing, is they go in there thinking, oh, it'll explode. And then, all these will get way more than that. Possibly. You don't know that. Obviously that didn't work out for these guys, and you can't put the under minimum, just enough to 20,000. I mean, if let's say you meet the minimum funding, can you make it for that? Probably not.
I don't think so.
And so that's the problem, is they go in low thinking, oh, this is going to be like all those other Kickstarters that I saw where they got triple the funding or quadruple the funding.
Yeah.
Okay. No way you're going to guarantee that. There's so many variables going into that equation that you do not know that it's going to happen. And the people that it's happened to, they don't understand exactly why. They did not do a magic formula and here, boom, we have a highly successful Kickstarter, especially now.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Joshua and XERA, epic fail on Kickstarter, and they were able to rebound from it. I don't know. They got an angel investor, a private angel investor, and they are now pushing forward with the progress of the game. They've got a staff of people working on it, and they're doing updates. We'll talk about it here in a little while. They're doing updates. But this kind of, I'll make it when I have time, is great if you're not publishing and publicizing the game. But if
you're doing a very community style project of, this is just more of a hobby that at some point I'll let people play, then treat it like that. Don't put one and they're really shooting themselves in the foot in that they have a game that they're just letting kind of sit out there.
Yeah.
Because if you just let it sit out there, people will lose interest. And as we've discussed over and over again, they will not gain interest back. They will not come back. That's how it tends to work.
This game's not even out and people don't have it. This game's not even out and I don't have any interest. What's going to happen when it comes out? They're still working on adding multiplayer to the game.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that really, for the, it says a lot about the developer, the fact that we said we'd like to do an interview and there was just no follow through. I mean,
we're the bastion of truth in the survival community.
But, that is a sign of, okay, you want to know why your Kickstarter failed? Well, there's one reason. You had people actually asking you to give it publicity, and you're like, I don't have time. I think if I remember correctly, I think this one was the one that had sent a tweet out saying, my computer, I think was this one. My computer's broken. I didn't have a computer for however many months.
2 months.
During the Kickstarter. Was that these guys?
It was either them or the hide and hold out guys.
They didn't. No, there was these guys. These guys didn't give an update throughout the whole Kickstarter.
That is true.
And at the very end, he said, "Oh, my computer's down." Through your Kickstarter, the whole Kickstarter.
You're right. This is the tweet. I'm not dead. Haha. I just haven't had a system for 2 weeks. So I'm back to work now on getting Remnants up and running for phase 2 co-op testing.
And this was during the Kickstarter.
It was. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, come on. Honestly.
Okay, but again,
use your cell phones. Use your cell phone. You don't tell me you don't have do you not have phones?
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Stop. Again, the point of this was not to bash this individual game. This is more of a but this is a blanket of a strategy to not. How do you want to turn people off?
Maybe he's making a playbook on how not.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Brian. How do you want to turn off an industry? Do stuff like this.
Yeah.
This is how you turn off an industry. And I mean, Brian, if you and I, for example, just stop doing this show tomorrow, and for 6 weeks, you and I logged off Discord, logged off Twitter, what other forms of communication? Didn't upload anything to YouTube for 6 weeks. And then all of a sudden came back. We're like, "Hey guys, we're back." People be like, "What the?" People be like, "What the hell is wrong with you guys? You went from being active to just gone. No tweets, no updates, no Steam notifications are big ones. No Steam notifications. Just you guys vanished." I would expect our community to be pissed, and I would expect people to leave our community and give us a big middle finger and say, "Sayonara, mother effers. You screwed us over. You screwed us, the community, over." And I would totally expect them and want them to do that, because that is not how you treat your community. You're asking for money and you vanish off the internet. There wasn't a tweet between December 31st, 2018 and February 4th, 2019.
Yep.
Day after my birthday, by the way. Not a single tweet. That's not good.
I don't know, man.
So what I'm saying is this: if you are making a game, this is not the strategy to take, because when this game actually comes out, who the hell's going to care? I'm not going to buy this game. I'm going to invest my hard-earned money into this product. Not just this product, Hide and Hold Out, or any of these other games that we've talked about, any of these other survival games. I'm supposed to invest my hard-earned money into this game where the developers are MIA for months at a time and don't exist. Yeah. That's a huge problem.
Yep.
So I'll get off my soapbox, but I mean, it's just frustrating. They
brought it on themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. I didn't do it. I didn't do this. You didn't do this, Brian. Nobody did this. It's done internally. It's very frustrating.
These guys had the option. I mean, you just have to be involved. You can't disappear. I mean, if you want this to succeed, and even now, like if he gave regular updates of, "Hey, I'm working on this. I'm working on this," but going on there and saying, "Oh, finally have some time from doing my daytime job, put out an update," that just doesn't bring confidence to anybody.
No, it doesn't. You're right. It's a huge problem. All right, I've got a quick Z1 Battle Royale update, whatever it's called. Last week we talked about the new map. Still no information on that, but let's see. They've done an update, and here are a couple of things that they've done here. They've made a couple of updates. The ARV has been added to all game modes, which is a vehicle. The LMG, the mid-range light machine gun, and scout rifle have been added to all game modes. And 6 new, here we go, Brian, we talked about this, 6 new arcade modes have been introduced. Sharpshooter, Roadrunner, Assault Rush, Detonation, ATV Rampage, and Outlawed, no shotguns, no bows, have been added. Arcade modes will run on a rotating weekend schedule from Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 2 o'clock Eastern, to Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Here's the initial schedule last weekend, which, by the way, of course, in typical H1Z1 fashion, they announced this the 13th, which was Thursday, at 4 p.m., that they're doing a game mode for the weekend. So last weekend was Shotties and Snipers. This weekend is Auto Royale, which is their car, but you can't get out of the car. Their total car-based shooter, which was actually a lot of fun when we played it. And then the June 28th, which will be 2 weekends from now, to July 1st is the ATV Rampage mode. This is smart. Limited time weekend event modes. You've talked about this with Fortnite
people
too.
Actually appreciate them. Yeah, Fortnite does the exact same thing.
They don't though. They don't do They don't do this on a rotating schedule.
But not a rotate, but they announce them.
They do.
And same thing PUBG does, where they'll announce a certain type of game mode. You'll do it for a limited amount of time, and then bam, it turns around and do something else, and you don't see it for a while.
What do you think of this idea of doing this on a rotating schedule every single weekend? So I will know every Saturday that I can hop on H1Z1 and there will be a new type of game mode. I don't know what it'll be, but every weekend.
I mean, I don't know if I like this idea more than having it to where it kind of does a playlist of a couple different, because that's the thing is then you're stuck doing, okay, I don't really like shotties and snipers, and you're doing that all week. Well, like all weekend for 3 days.
I think because there are 6 new arcade modes plus other
but the shotties and snipers. Okay, so
I think I could be wrong.
Arcade mode. So this is it's now running a rotating weekend cadence.
Yeah. So I think they're 2 separate things. They've got 6 arcade modes in the game, and then no, that doesn't make sense either. I don't know.
I think it just rotates between all of those.
Yeah, maybe.
But the thing is they said shotties and snipers, but then they don't list that. So they've added those ones that you see on the list they've added those ones.
Yeah, you're right. They have
to the whole overall list, but this is just the ones they're doing. But that's the thing is. So in a month, you only get to see 4 total game modes. They need to do a more rapid. They need to do some way that every month you have a chance to see all the game modes, not 4 game modes in a whole month, because there's a list of 7 game modes.
I'll do some research on this. We might be wrong. I have to look at how the arcade mode works. And I do want to quickly note with H1Z1, by the way, there is a petition to bring back Just Survive.
Always.
No, there's a literal change.org petition. To bring back Just Survive. I signed it. They're looking for 500 people. They so far have 403, and they're going. We did a change.org petition. What were we looking? Oh, to make it not free to play. I think it's what we did. Or was it to make it
don't go free to play. We were saying don't go to free to play.
Yeah, I think that's what we did do. Yeah. I
think we got more signatures than that.
We did. We succeeded. I don't know where I'd find that information.
They didn't really they didn't really care.
No, they made it free to play anyway, and then made it not free to play anyway, then made it free to play anyway again.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Life goes on.
I would say they tried, but I don't know.
Yeah, what are you going to
do? Have a dead game.
Well, that's one way to do it. So that's H1Z1. I'm trying to see if I can find... I can't find our petition. Okay, so that's H1Z1. Updates to Z1 Battle Royale, and then there's a petition. There'll be a link in the show notes to the petition, infectionpodcast.com. You want to go and sign it. I don't think 500 people are enough for them to bring back an entire game. But you know what? You got to give credit for trying, Brian. That's all you can do is try.
Yep. All right, so let's move on. Do you care where we go?
No,
first
sir.
of all, okay, let's go ahead and let's talk about Atlas.
Oh, boy.
Because you don't really hear...
I did their mega update last week. Yeah,
they did their mega update, but I don't see a lot of people playing it. It's not like
4,000.
Hey, Atlas is so much better. Come play. Like I haven't had a single person ask me that.
And we own it. But a lot of us own it.
Yeah, we own it. A lot of people have it. It's unlike Arc, where Arc you'd be like, oh hey, something new came out. Let's try it. Like I haven't heard that had anybody push. But they had their 207.91. I don't think you didn't cover that last week, did you?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. They did reduce the torpedo damage because remember they added that torpedo in there.
Yep.
They found that it was a little too powerful, so they reduced that by 45%. Boats no longer sink when overweighted or overcrewed if they're fully anchored. How long have we been waiting for that fix?
Since December 22nd of 2018. I think when the game first came out.
We tried to make a point. We were like, we are going to make it. We're kind of outing ourselves here, but we're like, we are going to make it so that they end up fixing sinking, because you can't really build a nice, set of boats in the ocean because people could sink them. And we're like, we're just going to sink everything we see.
And that's what we did.
And we, as a group, we went to an island and we sunk like half the boats around the island.
Yep, max weight.
The people on the island could do nothing because this is a PvE server.
Yeah, what were you doing? You were filling up your inventory with max weight, hopping onto the boat, and then all of you
just
standing
watching
on it sink.
Watching it destroy. So there's people just sitting there on the shore staring at us as we're destroying every single boat. We're like, we're going to make it, go report us.
You're a scumbag, Brian. You're part of the problem. You're exactly you were exactly who to not be on this show.
I know, but it's like, it was like, we just wanted them to fix, because we didn't feel, we were putting so much effort and time, and we had so many people working on one thing that it just took a couple of guys like we were doing, running up to your area, jumping on your ship, and bam, it's gone. Nothing you could do. And there was literally nothing these people could do.
PvE. So literally nothing.
It was PvE. They could not kill us. We had guys jumping up on the boat with us and just jumping around us. And it's like totally helpless. And it's like, come on.
And they lose all their stuff because it all breaks and sinks. Right?
Oh, yeah. It breaks and sinks in the ocean and it's gone.
Yeah. There's no like bags that fall to the ocean floor. The stuff is
well, they do, but they're ones that do, but they disappear after a short period of time. Okay. So there's a lot of people that weren't there. They get back and all their ships are gone.
Gotcha.
So it's not like we just did it but right before we stopped playing, we're like, okay, we're going to try to make it to where some reports go out about this, and nothing. Finally, months and months and months later,
June of 2019, 6 months later,
they finally make it to where if your boat is anchored, you cannot sink it with weight. Why did it take so long? I mean,
soon TM, honestly, my man. Soon TM.
We're like, I mean, this is one of the reasons we stopped playing.
Yeah, because you were just getting trolled. You talk about like trollery level 100 was just doing this. 4 guys, 3 guys, 5 guys.
Totally helpless.
Fill your inventory with rocks or wood, and then just go stand on everybody else's rafts and they sink.
And do you remember I brought up the kind of the glitch that you could do if you died? You could fill your body with rocks, and then you could drag your body because it wouldn't count that as overweight. So then you just would carry your body and you toss it on a ship, and then I don't remember, you then put it in your inventory and it would sink it, and then you would just fill the body back up and you drag the body to the next ship. You could clear a whole island. I didn't do this method, but I watched somebody do it on a YouTube video. You could clear a whole island as one person in like 15 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, horrible.
Well,
and they just finally fixed it.
I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, you look at why the 40,000 player concurrent MMO game has got 3,900 people playing it.
Yeah,
I mean, here it is.
It's just not worth it. Little stuff like this, just like they lost a lot of people in Ark. And
by the way,
because of that the glitching in the bases,
they've done 2 mega updates.
Finally fixed.
They did. They fixed it 4 weeks ago?
Within the last month.
Yeah, but they've done 2 mega updates to this game, and this fix was not on there.
Yeah, they should have fixed this. I mean, this is such a simple fix.
January, this should have been fixed.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit of code, honestly. Is the ship anchored? It's a Boolean. Check. Okay. Don't
Can't
look
sink.
at weight. Can't sink.
Done sink equals false.
It's just silly.
Actually, done sink equals true. Sorry.
Yeah. So now they have settlement mode. Claim flags now appear on the world map for the grid region that you're currently on. Submarines docked on hangars now retain their color after several restarts. So I guess they were losing that information. Mm-hmm. Prevented firing from gun ports if the gun port is not fully opened. And probably, I wonder if it was destroying your own ship. Into the side.
Whoops.
This is the resolve crews being dismounted as they were blocked for firing too soon. Quest skills are blacked out with a silhouette when not learned. So you can see what they are, but that's kind of helpful if you're kind of guessing where you want to go. Cocoa can now be crafted properly in irrigated grills. Okay. They fixed a first person view.
Yep.
Reload animation. Like, I love when they put initials in here. You're at the guess. I think it's first person view. Reload animation playing when switching from third person to first person with the crossbow. And then they fixed an issue where the servers that were running for more than 4 days consecutively without a reboot have choppy water on the clients. So then they did some tweaks to numbers like ammo weight and things like that.
Yeah, and
that was a pretty big. I mean, there's some big deal things in that one.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just to point 0.91 update, but it's a pretty big deal, the whole anchor thing.
It is. And they did an update 207.93, and they did a whole bunch of slot increases for things like the mortar and pestle, the large storage box, small storage box, sugar, the stack limit for sugar, thatch. The grenade weight has been increased to 5. And they increased the player shop health to 12,000. I don't know what it was at previously. Reduced base damage of blackjacks by 10%. Reduced the fall swing damage by 65%, double stamina costs of shield bash, and then fixed just a couple of other various things with player names and not being able to move when you were bolted and various things on the 207.93, as well as...
Very similar with the 207.95. It's just, once again, tweaking the torpedo.
Yep.
A lot of tweaks to the torpedo. Changing how the bola works as far as reducing. I mean, it's just a lot of these are tweaks because they did the big update. One thing is the 2x Magic Mythos is now active with bonus rates for harvesting XP, taming, and gold. So one of the things you learn is now active with the bonus rates. Other than that, they added some localization, which is the language for a few things: German, French, Turkish, Ukrainian, and Swedish.
Yeah.
Gun ports will no longer open if they do not have a cannon snapped to it.
That's big because you could you would use a gun port and you could open it up and shoot out of it and use it as like a little trap door. So
now they don't let you if you don't have a gun there.
Yeah,
no longer a window. Cannons using gun port snaps now check for nearby freely snapped cannons before snapping in order to prevent multiple cannons shooting from one gun port. I'm sure people were taking advantage of that. And then fix the global ship limit counting sunken ships. So I wonder, I'm not sure if that means that it was letting you have too many ships or if it was counting against, like saying you can't have a ship because you have a sunken one here. I'm assuming it was saying, you can't make, they were wanting it so you can't build another ship when you have sunken ships because you could possibly go to repair them.
Yeah.
And then you would have too many ships.
Which could be a problem, of course.
Yeah. They want to limit that. And then there's 207.972 fixed an issue where NPCs on the galleon's front NPCs would not replicate. I brought up replication earlier, which means that it was not showing to everybody. Maybe one player would see it due to the captain being all the way in the back. This would have previously shown missing NPCs, even if they were stationed.
That's a huge problem because you would think you would think a ship is not manned, and it was.
Yep. And it's not. It just because the captain's sitting in the very back of the ship.
Yeah.
And then 207.981 is the current one. Inactive PvP boats will now automatically destroy after 4 weeks of inactivity. So
trash collector.
If you're gonna leave for a month and not play, well, your ships are gonna be gone.
Don't tell the Remnants folks. They won't be able to.
Yeah. Enabled auto destruction for decayed structures on official servers. So once again, clean up. They probably had too much stuff building up. Sunken ships will always destroy after 5 days on an official server. This will clear the icon from your map as well, as long as the area where the boat was sunk have been revisited. Gun ports can now be opened again without cannons, so they reversed that one. But so now you could, because people were complaining, you can now fish out of them again. So people were opening a gun port and fishing, and so they must have screamed and yelled and said, "Please give us back this." So fixed an issue where invalid cannon placement shooting edge caches. So people were still figuring out ways around to shoot more guns out of one port than they were needing to. Open gun ports will obstruct firing from any cannon that are not explicitly linked to them, either by dismounting the shooter or blocking the projectile. Another fix to the same problem. Fixed a sail placement exploit. I'm sure people were putting more sails than they were supposed to. And then they added a new game.ini mode for sunken ships, where it's destroyed dead ship interval time. So it defaults to 0, meaning sunken ships would last forever. And then they have the default value for your official servers.
So here we go. So then there's also a special note. They've got this on the top of their website, a special note regarding stacking cannons in gun ports. They've got a real problem with this. They said they've implemented a fix to stacking cannons in the guns port. This fix will not apply retroactively to legacy cannons placed in this way. More than one cannon/launcher in a gun port is a build method we regard as an exploit. With that in mind, players with cannon/torpedo launchers placed in this manner are on notice to cease actively using them in PvP immediately. Otherwise, enforcement actions will be taken. Players must remove these structures within 48 hours. Beyond this 48-hour grace period, ships running this build will be susceptible to enforcement actions. Thank you. This was last week. Yeah. So if I had to guess what's happening, the problem here is that the cannon is not what's actually firing the cannonball. It's the gun port on the outside of the ship. So they're having to link one thing to the other, and there is ways to link multiple, because it's all shooting from the cannon port, which is on the outside of the boat. It's not shooting from inside the boat, shooting from the outside. The window is probably not actually a window, which is probably that's got to be what's causing this issue. Because how would you be able to shoot multiple things out of the same window unless the window itself was the entity?
I'm wondering if they're just somehow placing cannons right next to each other.
But then the gun, but those other cannons, they were all originating from the same point, which was that window. Yeah. So
yeah, they probably are attaching they have a socket on the gun port where it's like, here's where the cannon flies from, but I don't know. That's just weird. Now, I don't know why they're struggling with that so much.
What about this concept of considering that an exploit and literally deleting user ships if they're not handling that? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, personally, they're taking advantage of code that's in there. I'm not a big fan of banning people for things that you allowed in the game.
Yeah.
Now there's a period of time once you fix it. Why don't you go through and write some sort of code to check for that and clear out the duplicates? I mean, they're taking advantage of what you allowed them to do. Just prevent them from building any more in the future. Delete the ones that are existing, and move on. I just don't like bans for when they're not doing a blatant, like, I'm getting a cheat or I'm doing something. They're doing exactly as you wrote it to do. You allowed them to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're banning people, but what I think is odd, Brian, is what if you're not somebody that keeps up to date with the forum or the update? I mean, there's thousands of people that play game. Look at all the people that play Rust and Ark. You think every single one of those people are reading patch notes? Now, they may have had a message displayed in game, but people aren't weird like we are. We sit here and read patch notes, and you weirdos listening to this are listening to us read their notes. I mean, you've got a huge, now, unfortunately, they've only got 4,000 players, but I mean, what are you going to read the updates?
Yeah, they need to fix it, move on, and just prevent it from happening. They should be able to go in there and make it not do it. I mean, they should be able to go in and be like, okay, well, let's check. Is there more than one gun in this vicinity of this other gun? If there is, do something to it. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it's how they operate. So
that's out.
Like banning the people that were using that glitch where you could drop into people's bases. Okay, well, fix it.
Yeah,
don't ban the people that are talking about it.
I don't like the word exploit. When I think of the word exploit, I think of I think of exploit as something to get an unfair advantage over other people. Like an exploit that allows me to spawn 100 pterodactyls in the case of Ark.
Yeah.
Here,
I mean, they're allowing someone to fire more guns than intended. So you could do more damage to another ship. I think that's why they're intending, why they're treating it like that. Yeah. But those people have just as much an ability if they place it in the same way to have those many guns shipping, pointing back at you.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of where the word exploit.
They're not running some secret code.
Exactly. That would be like,
here, 100 pterodactyls.
That would be like us saying back in the old H1Z1 days, the combo to harvest animals.
Was it the axe?
It was, yeah. It was like bone shiv, axe, or axe, hit twice, hit in the air, hit 2 more times, or something like that. That would be like calling that an exploit. I don't know. I don't know how you. I don't think that's an exploit. There's no unfair.
You're taking advantage of the code how it is written.
Well, yeah,
so we never viewed it as that.
And now but if there was an exploit that allowed me to spawn in every single gun I wanted, now that's a little bit of a different story. But
what if you could swing the axe 3 times in one direction, turn around and swing it one other direction, and then 100 guns spawned in?
That's an exploit. Kind of.
No, you're just in the game, just swinging the axe like this.
Correct, but I think the difference I have,
you're basing it on how big the impact is. I'm saying it doesn't matter how big the impact is.
You're right.
It's whether it spawns a one med kit or whether it spawns 100 guns. It doesn't matter. You're doing something in a particular order. That's how the game was made.
You are doing that. But I just think when you're going to threaten people, right, there should be and maybe this was such a big deal that they're doing this. Again, maybe I'm out of touch, but maybe if it's having a significant impact on everybody else playing the game, then I'll open my ears and go, okay, you gotta deal with this. But getting an extra meat or extra fuel that we would get in H1Z1, I mean, we're still gonna raid your base and kill you anyway. Like this is not making us gods of the server. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. So there you go. No exploiting. If you're cheating, well, your ship's going to get destroyed. So stay tuned.
All right. Since we're talking about a similar company, we talked a little bit about Arc. There was a huge patch in Arc 296.106. Fixed an exploit. There you go. So that was June 12th. So that is the Arc updates for this week.
Fixed
and exploit.
3 words, and not even a period. It's just 3 words.
They didn't want to waste any extra resources.
Yeah, too much code on the Arc Gamepedia.
Yep. So do you have a preference for where we go from here?
No, sir.
Well, do you want to do some videos so we kind of intersperse this a little bit?
Yeah. Let's do the world. What is World War Z real quick? Because we've talked about this. World War Z is the Epic exclusive zombie game that apparently, according to you, has not gotten the best feedback.
Well, I mean, people aren't playing. Well, the thing is, the company had some issues. I think it's Starbreeze. So World War Z is based on the movie, first of all.
Yep.
And they went through, and it's very many similar features to what was the one where you robbed the banks? Payday. Very similar. Like if you remember early on when I started seeing the videos and the teasers for World War Z, I was like, "Ooh, this could be a really cool game."
So many zombies, like thousands of zombies. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and they went through. Make sure. That's Walking Dead. I take that back. Reverse what I just said. The one that Overkill's The Walking Dead is the one I was talking about.
Okay.
If this were, we could edit that out in YouTube, right? Whatever. We won't do that.
No, this is Bastion of Truth. Stick with it. Double down, damn it. This is the way to do it.
No, really, this is what it is. No. Okay, so seriously, I was thinking of Overkill's The Walking Dead. World War Z is based on the movie, right? Yes.
Okay.
This is the one where they did the tech that allowed a ton of zombies to go in there.
Yeah.
We went in and played. It's pretty. This one is more of a Left 4 Dead update. Yeah. It's a newer version of Left 4 Dead. I mean, okay, now we're on the same page. We're Bastion of Truth, as you like to say.
You got a free game copy. Is that also Bastion of Truth?
I did get a free game copy. I did play it some, and you'd go through, and it would it just didn't feel as good at the time as Left 4 Dead, as far as you didn't really feel like there were some scenes where you'd have a lot more zombies, but there were sometimes a lot of zombies in Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
And they're really going on about the tech in this. There were a limited number of maps. So with all of that being said, now this one as well, because I was talking, early on, I said the game didn't do as well for Overkill. Starbreeze ended up cutting back and doing a lot of things and not really developing it. World War Z, I don't think picked up as many as they were hoping to, just because there wasn't that wow factor. Like people went in, but this is something that is fixable.
Well, and it was also on Epic, which a lot of people there's a huge rift.
Some games have sold very many copies on Epic.
They have.
So I don't know. It has to still be a good game.
Yeah,
I mean, if people go in there and play and it's not worth recommending to your friends, it's going to do not well on no matter what platform it is.
So
this is the Undead Sea update.
Hi everyone, I'm Oliver, Creative Director at Saber Interactive. I'm here to give you a look at the first batch of free updates for World War Z, as well as a sneak peek at what you can expect from the rest of Season 1's planned content. Before we dive in, I'd like to sincerely thank all the players from all of us here at Saber. The response to our game since release has been incredible, and we're proud to have over 2 million players. Frankly, it's way beyond our expectations, and thanks to you, we're able to support World War Z with all this free content. Tokyo has already proven a fan-favorite campaign, so we're delighted that our first free chapter continues this survival story. Tokyo's latest chapter will take place on board an undead-infested ferry.
What's happening?
We're going to find out.
Challenging you and your squad to battle through open decks and tight cabins in one of the game's most intense challenges yet. Spicing things up even further, a new special zombie joins the horde. With the Infector, we're working to bring a totally new type of enemy for players to overcome. Get the Infector's toxic saliva on you, and you'll be forced to quickly clean it off or succumb to immediate zombification. Killing this horrific creature isn't a simple case of gunning it down. Destroy the Infector with a melee finisher, or it will soon reanimate at full health. Joining this content, we're adding a host of additions, improvements, and tweaks based on the feedback of our great community. This includes private lobbies, FOV scaling, mid-match PvP loadout changes, options to disable bots, and more. To learn more about this update's new features, fixes, and balance changes, follow a link to the full patch notes in the description below. Looking further into the future, cosmetics earned through gameplay achievements, continuing balance tweaks, and an expanded progression system will later make their way to World War Z. Also, stay tuned for info about our upcoming weekly challenge mode, as well as a whole lot more we're excited to announce. World War Z is available now for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and on the Epic Games Store.
I want to note something interesting for our audio, for our video listeners. They've got a logo blurred out in the bottom left-hand corner of this. I don't know what that is, but there's something blurred out here. I don't know what it is, but I can see it. It's like an additional blur. All right, so it looks really cool. I think
so they must be consistently selling copies, 2 million, but that's across PS4, that's across console.
That's what I was going to say.
PC.
I bet you this is a lot more popular of a console game than it is a PC game.
One unique thing, though, I mean, for those who haven't seen the movie or read the books, I've read the book. Sorry, not books, book, and it is a very unique concept of these stories are being told from various places around the world. So one thing they could do to kind of continue the World War Z, they don't have to base it on the movie per se, because the movie is just kind of one story throughout it. The book has more stories in it, and it goes through and just says, all right, now we're in, I think it was Japan or wherever, where the virus originated. And then it goes through the story of that. They go over to the Middle East. They go over to the United States. They go and do stories. It's like it's a reporter that's doing interviews after all this happened.
Okay.
And so that's the way the book plays out. So what they could have done, what they could do with this, I mean, this is the Undead Sea update, but they could go through and start implementing story and going around the world. You know, you saw something with Tokyo there. Mm-hmm. They can start kind of having maps that are in very different locations visually, and it will fit into the whole World War Z story. So they're not limited to one location. Left 4 Dead even tried. I mean, if you look at Left 4 Dead, you went to Louisiana, you were in the bayou, sometimes you were in the city. They kind of changed it up a little bit. I think they could do that even more with World War Z than they could that.
Yeah, and I remember now, I just looked at it. The price point, I think, was what we talked about. It's $35, which is a little pricey for a Left 4 Dead style game. And it's on the Epic Game Store.
If they put enough content in there, that wouldn't be a problem. But they didn't have enough content day one.
And what do they say? It's death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's on Epic, which a lot of people are hesitant of. It's a little pricier than you'd like to see. Originally, it didn't have a whole lot of maps, and you didn't have any friends that played. It's just 100 little, 10, 5, even 5 little factors. You look at the game, you go, I'm not even going to bother, right? It's just a couple, just tiny little things that you look at the game, you go, I'm not interested. And I believe it's an Epic limited exclusive. I could be wrong on that.
I think it'll after a period of time
not
be exclusive anymore.
So they're doing that with World War Z. I mean, the trailer looks good. Now let's be clear, very cinematic, very stylized for the trailer. I haven't played the game, so I don't know what it's like in practicality, but nevertheless, an update.
All right. Do you want to talk about Fortnite for a minute?
Oh, yes, of course. My favorite game.
Your favorite?
We got to get our epic shilling in on this week. I don't believe we did any epic shilling last show. I don't believe. So, yes.
No. So we're going to make up for it.
Doubly.
One thing that they added is the proximity grenade launcher. There's a video for that. I don't know if you want to show that really quick. Of course, they usually just do music.
Yeah. So here it is.
For these ones.
Oh, there's no
but it's pretty much a grenade launcher. So you could blow up sections. I don't know. I mean, it's like grenades. You could just shoot it and blow up their bases. They're trying to come up with ways that you can maybe cut down on the amount of protection you have in one of these large bases.
Well, the cool thing about it is, and that what they just showed in that video there was that it'll actually bounce. So you can ricochet it into a corner or back behind something if there's something available.
Which is good for skill gap. I mean, you're giving people who play a lot and kind of learn the system, giving them the benefit.
As if we didn't already have enough skill gap.
We already. I do have that new mouse.
Oh yeah. What? Oh hell yeah. Yeah, I got mine here too. Look at this.
So it's got all the buttons.
You're a Fortnite pro now. Get those.
So now I got to try Fortnite with it now.
Believe me, I used it. It will not make you any better. I can guarantee it.
And they also have Horde Rush that's coming soon. It's a new 4-player co-op limited time mode. And that'll be June 13th is when they did it. So that's just in the last week they released that. A limited time rotation, one-shot duos. So every player has 50 health. It's a low gravity mode. Sniper weapons are the only weapons. So pretty much if you touch somebody, they will die. Bandages are the only healing item. Jump high and aim well. Then, of course, the Horde Rush, and then they just did some tweaks to various items in the game. So I think that's all the main things for Fortnite.
All right. We've got listed here, Brian, Jaws of Extinction, which is a game that we've talked we haven't talked a whole lot about it, but a little bit.
And the thing is, we have a copy. They did full exposure. They gave us copies of it. We just haven't sat down and played it yet. But I want to give them an honest review, right? Mm-hmm. Sit down and play it for a period of time. So when Nick and I are on the same schedule here in the next couple of weeks,
and everything else, this game, every other game that we need to play.
Yeah. So we will sit down and play it. But they did do their 0.0 or 0.2.7.10a, and pretty big list of fixes. I mean, this they've got a full page, a couple pages of updates that they have done, fixes and changes. This game is $19.99 on Steam. They do have a dev digest that they did as well. I put the same link, but I'll get that fixed in the show notes. But they did one that goes into more detail of what actually changed in this update. Because if you look at the actual patch notes, you're like, there's a lot of stuff in there. But if you go onto their actual dev blog, you go in there and they show more description of what it is. So, what are they focusing in on this patch? They show some pictures of various things that they changed. They're doing a lot of content as far as visual locations, points of interest. But they said their next patch is going to be around the 28th. So they are doing, what's nice, they're doing an estimate of when the next patch should be.
I like that.
And so going forward, they said that we will be releasing a number of small patches, hot fixes between each main update to bring you all the fixes soon. So you don't have to wait 2 weeks to fix broken elements. So they'll do the major content updates every 2 weeks, but they will start doing little hot fixes throughout just to kind of fix the game breaking bugs that might be in there. Things that are coming up on this, so they kind of have like a roadmap of sorts. They're going to be working on performance over the next few months. They are doing their what they're calling AI version 3.0. They'll be doing additional protagonists. They'll be doing 4-player co-op, and then exclusive DLC apparel redemption. So that's just what they're looking at over the short term. And then Nick's showing they've got a lot of things on their actual roadmap that you can see what they're going to be working on over time.
I like this roadmap. It's out right on their right on their website. So there's like the third option, roadmap. It's kind of like a Trello board, but it's a lot more in concrete, like in stone, what they're actually doing. And it's not just like words like thing added. I mean, there's a descriptor under each of these things telling you what exactly they're searching for, what exactly they're trying to accomplish. And it says what it is. Planned feature, in development, things that have been publicly released, things that are completed. Really cool. I like this. So
there you go. That we'll have to try it out. We need to sit down and just give it a playthrough and see how it feels, and then give an honest review. I just haven't gotten back to them and said it. We haven't brought it up a ton.
Yeah.
Just because I did originally mention when I talked to them and kind of the conversation that we had, but I want us to sit down and see how it feels. Because they've got a lot of stuff they're doing, but does it feel right?
Exactly, which is always the wild card factor. I mean, the features look great on text, but do they hold up? Right? Is the game actually playable?
And that's what we'll find out.
Yep.
Do you have a preference where we go from here?
No. Wherever we don't have a whole lot more to get into.
Yeah, let's talk about ROE here really quick. ROE. They put out 4, 5, 6 updates a week sometimes.
They do. Last week they did 7. Between Tuesday and Tuesday, there's 7 full. They did an update a day.
Yep, and so they do. They're not always huge updates.
No,
sometimes there are a couple of fixes. So like 6.12.2019, and this is kind of that. It's an Asian date scheme. You run the same thing with Europe. Some of the European ones, where they make the version numbers the date, but the problem is then they release multiple things on the same day, and then you get the same version numbers. It gets kind of weird.
Yeah, 3 in this past week.
Yeah, they did the DirectX 12 beta client attempts to fix client crash caused by returning to the lobby and fix an issue where the character model is displayed incorrectly in some rare cases. And this is if you're running the DirectX 12 beta. If you're on the DirectX 11, you won't see this. They have the Adventure Season 4. So this is 6/15/2019. On here, they have the Adventure Season 4 roadmap that they put on here, showing some of the new content that they're going to be doing. So they're going to have a new adventurer, revamping the island, new adventurer pass, new tactical item, which is the recon drone, new quick mark selection. So that's kind of a wheel menu that you can go through, and then a new game mode that they're going to be adding. So they go through and go into detail, showing the drone, also the new character called Magpie, and then fixes pretty much after that. They also have, the quick mark system. Change a little text with that, but a number of fixes after that. Then the 6.15/2019, a couple of fixes in there, performance update, and then people were, after the 6.15 update, says people were unable to log in after the patch. So players who haven't logged into the game since January 27th were unable to normally log in due to data synchronization errors. They must have changed the structure. At present, this problem has been fixed. They're sorry to the players that were affected, and they're giving away e-points as compensation to people that log in within 24 hours. So that's the fixes for that. Always adding, they add content pretty regularly. They do fixes every single week. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, solid update schedule from them. It's definitely, if I were a developer, one to be envious of, because they are constantly updating.
Yeah. Now, another one we got here, Survive the Nights. They don't put updates very often, so kind of the opposite. You do not see updates very often from them. I haven't seen an update for months on this, but they did the 0.11.26 patch. This focuses on hunting, trapping, and attachments. And so they go through, they talk about, inventory system on here. They have some videos, mainly just showing the weapon attachment system, showing the trap system. But this is one that I have this. It's just, there was a lot of hype for it. But it's just, they have the free placement system. It's just, you don't see a lot of people playing it. And I haven't gone in there and really pushed myself to play it because you got to give them time to develop it. Obviously a small development team, and they're trying to make a very in-depth game. One thing, would you notice anything interesting about that video?
The inventory system looks crazy.
Yes. And what's that? Is that a chimney to the right of that house?
It is.
Oh, okay. It looks like a tree from here.
No, it's a chimney. What am I?
It's like, it's hard to say. I was like, is that a tree? But the thing is you see that they're doing animations here for all the reloading.
Yeah.
Very intricate what they're trying to do. Very cool. But the thing is it's going to take them a long time.
This UI looks incredibly complicated with this notebook.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what the hell am I looking at?
They're overflowing you with information.
Yeah. And it's a real turnoff when you look at this. You're like, I just want to find a gun. And if I find something that can attach to it, click button or press key and be on my merry way. I mean, I don't want to be digging through submenus to be adding things.
The thing is, they're focusing on a hardcore type of simulator.
Yeah.
Which
makes sense.
That is a niche audience.
Yeah.
But they've got to expect the numbers of a hardcore simulator. They can't be expecting 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people playing this. So it just isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But you'll maybe get a couple hundred people playing it.
A couple hundred. There are 3 people playing it. The 24-hour peak is 13. And over the past week, the highest is 14. So you may get a couple of people playing it, not a couple hundred. I mean, they won't.
But I'm saying eventually. I mean, if they can put all the features, the player base that you're aiming for is very small.
It's got terrible reviews on Steam. 46% of the reviews are positive.
Yep. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Another gem another gem of games that we talk about here on the program.
Yeah, I mean, I played it and it's not smooth enough. Like it doesn't flow. The game does not flow, and they need to figure that out.
Hey, you know what? You got to give them credit. Pushing out an update with 3 people playing your game, you got to really believe in what you're doing. That's more. Yep. A lot more than a lot of other developers can say. I could say personally, if I was making a game and there were 3 people playing, I'd be like, F it.
I'm doing something else.
Yeah, I'm moving on. Like we're going to go podcast or something. We're moving on. But it's not going to be that. So that's good to see.
All right. So Realm Royale put out an update. It's been a little bit since been at least a couple of weeks since we've seen that.
Yeah, they just do regular fixes. This is an actual update. Yeah.
So this one here says the release towards the later half of the week, which is June 16th. So June 16th, they put out OB20. They have their new battle pass. They call it Eternal Conflict. And this is, they said, has arrived in Realm Royale. Divine and infernal beings clash in the battlefield, bringing a new angel and demon cosmetics. Progress through level 50 of the unlockable content features skins for each class, 2 chickens, and 3 mounts. They have a new ability called Skull of Chaos, where you can throw a fiery skull that bounces off of enemies and the environment, and a new aggressive class-neutral damage ability. Made an update to the play screen, and then some tweaks and changes to the gameplay, quality of life improvements, new damage number displays combined. Console players will now be able to invite other players by name on the social tab, regardless of their platform.
That's good.
This is a cross-platform game. When dealing damage to players, armor and health values will now be separated from one another, giving a more clear indication of how much damage was dealt to each. And then, then they set a list of bug fixes. So this is their OB20 Eternal Conflict update.
All right. We forgot to talk about it. I wanted to bring this up earlier, and I didn't. I want to talk about our friends over at XERA, XERA.
Yes.
They did an update this week. Let's talk about it first. Hotfix 2.2. Couple of quick things here. they adjusted the recoil for the AK-47, the G36, and the Honey Badger. Fall off damage has been added the new SMG fall off to the MP5. So fall off damage to the MP5, Yump, and the Honey Badger. And
what that does is, as more distance you're farther away from the other player, when you shoot, the damage falls off. It doesn't do as much damage the farther the player is away. So if you're shooting somebody who's right next to you, you're going to do full damage.
Yeah, and these are SMGs.
They're a long ways off. Yeah, and they're not made to be far away. Yeah. So they're trying to encourage you to be close.
Yeah, because they're typically shooting 9mm ammo, which is not a high
velocity,
high damage ammo, where you put it in a handgun. You're not shooting an SMG across the map and getting full damage. Anybody that's plays Call of Duty knows. You run your SMG as your secondary if you can. And then they removed double XP weekend and removed double skin box, but record scratch, there was an issue. So they delayed it temporarily. This was back on the 13th. They delayed it, and they ended up releasing it on Friday. So due to an issue with the hotfix, they went back to a previous build, and they deployed it on the 14th. I didn't see an update that they didn't deploy it, so we'll take it that it was actually updated.
They kept it in.
So not that was a major update anyway, but it did give you more chance for double XP. As they had to delay that by a couple of days. So that's an update from XERA.
Very good. And then we have another game here that was suggested to us called Last Oasis. And there's a YouTube video. Let's go ahead and play that. And then we have a link for a beta sign up if you want to try it, if you like it.
Oh, silence at the beginning, of course.
We tried built wooden legs to lift us over the burning sands. We must move forward or die beneath the sun.
That's Last Oasis, available September 3rd.
September 3rd.
That was an E3 video.
We had shown a video when they originally announced it, if you remember correctly.
We did.
I don't remember however many months ago.
I can tell you.
But now you can go in and sign up. We'll have a link to the beta sign up if you want to try it out. You have to join the Discord, and then you get invited by the bot. And so it's discord.gg/Last Oasis.
Brian, it feels like maybe 2 or 3 months ago we talked about it, Brian?
Yeah, it feels like it.
No, January. I mean, literally 6 months ago.
Time has flown by this.
That's what's so crazy about, and we talk about this all the time. Our timelines are so screwed up when it comes to these games because there's just so many of them. They announce, they unannounce, they don't update, then they start updating. But this was actually an E3 video that we missed, and I believe it was Nisco posted this in our news channel in Discord, which is what we encourage, and said, hey, remember, you guys talked about this game, and it's kind of a Mad Max style
post-apocalypse.
Yeah,
everything's going kind of steampunkish, not really steam, but like a weird kind of Da Vinci mechanical style. Yeah,
but it's got that style, and it's just a big PvP. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
And if I remember correctly, it actually pushes you across the map. Like, it's a huge giant map, but you are forced across the map because something is coming in behind you. And so you have to keep building these things and doing all these things to be able to stay ahead of whatever it is that's chasing you. Because it's the last Oasis. Like, you're pretty much going from segment to segment, and you're ending up in one place, and you want to be the surviving group that gets there.
Gotcha. Let's see. So this is available. What?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm saying it's available on Steam September 3rd. There is no price point, but you have just a couple days to sign up for their beta. So if you want to do that, you have to join their Discord. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, I think we have one more thing, Rust.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a video for that, and I think then we've covered all the news.
If I can find my Rust video. Oh, yes. What do we know what the title of this video is? See if I can
so this one is this talks about the roadmap and the Friday patch they did and some new player suggestions.
All right, here it is. A quick update from our buddy Shadowfrax. Nope, that's the wrong one.
Greetings, survivors and friends. Shadowfrax here with your weekly fix of Rust development news. But first of all, when you're galloping across the land on your shiny new horse, you don't want to look like some filthy generic fresh spawn who just rolled off a beach somewhere, do you? You want to look like a professional. Because that's what you are. And this is why you need my new jockey skin set, hoodie, pants, trousers, and cap. Depending on when you're watching this, these will either be on the store right now or soon to be on the store, and I'll put a link for you in the pinned comment below. Thanks to FaZe, who put these threads together. I hope you enjoy them, and just to say, there's a tiny Easter egg hidden on the set somewhere, if you can find it. Talking of weekly fixes, a mandatory client and server patch will be rolling its way out tonight, and this should help fix a few of the bugs that crawled out of the woodwork after last week's update, as well as, hopefully, improving server performance. Although at the time of writing this, exactly what fixes will be included is yet to be confirmed. Something which will be breaking onto servers with the patch, though, is a change to waves, which I did mention last week, but here's more on that. Instead of all moving in one direction in their journey across the endless ocean, you'll see waves now heading towards the rusty coastline wherever you are. As well as this, they're now more dynamic, with higher peaks and deeper troughs near the beach becoming smoother and more placid the further out you get. Hopefully, performance will be better too, but we'll know for sure when the patch hits. Also, please keep in mind that these are work in progress and will be tweaked as time goes by. Further to the news last week that Gary was working on switching Rust over to HDRP, that's High Definition Render Pipeline. There has been an absolute paddock full of commits relating to this, and although we don't have any footage to see how it'll look in game yet, he did show off some subsurface scattering, which is an important effect for realistic rendering of translucent materials such as skin, flesh, fat, fruits, fungi, milk, marble, gravy, and many others. More on this as it progresses. Meanwhile, if you don't love me at my, then you don't deserve me at my. Yes, other works in progress include a rework of Rust's ragdoll system to hopefully turn the existing monstrosities, which sometimes look like something John Carpenter would come up with, into more realistic and peaceful looking versions. Again, not much to show you yet on this, and I'm guessing it's too much to ask for to be given a ragdoll key for players, but I'll show you more when I have footage. Horse art is being reworked apparently, with new visuals for our Neddies. Maybe there'll be a special white one that spawns on a server somewhere and only eats pies or something. Again, it's too early for visuals, but I'll show you as soon as they're trotted out. And finally, just after the update last week, I noticed that the roadmap section of the Rust website had mysteriously disappeared. Although shortly after, a brand new section mysteriously took its place. Instead of the roadmap, we now have suggestions, which very bravely lets you and I post suggestions for the game, which can then be voted up, down, sideways, and commented on by all and sundry. These can be sorted by top, latest, and trending, and here's the best bit: the team can use these to actually build a new roadmap, which they're doing. And this shows what features are in progress, planned, and currently being mulled over. Looking at the top suggestions at the moment, for instance, fireplaces, heating bases is sitting right up there at number 1, is being closely followed by making nights lighter and triangle ladder hatches and floor grills. I'll leave a link to this down below as well, so you can add your tuppence worth, but please don't be irresponsible. We've got Reddit for that. Right, you're up to date now. It's been a shortish one, but do leave me a comment, plus a like and subscription. Your support of my channel is very much appreciated. Also, a big thanks to my supporters on Patreon who consistently help me keep the wolves from the stable doors in these difficult times. You can follow me and stay up to date on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, and my Steam group, and I shall catch you all soon. But in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio.
All right, Brian, I'm looking at the suggestions. Some guy is suggesting that they need more servers. more private servers. He's suggesting that Facepunch needs to make more
private servers,
which are not operated by Facepunch. These are operated by private. Which are operated by private.
You gotta love people.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of a cool feature. They're using a service called Nult.io. It looks like. I've never heard of that before. I'll look that up. Yeah, Nult.io is a collect feedback in a central place that users will love. It's just a feedback. So, yeah, H1Z1 had something similar to that. It was their bug tracker, kind of. This is kind of like a bug tracker, but allows users to suggest
a feature tracker as well. Yeah.
So that's kind of neat. And the horse and if you're a Rust player, go buy Shadowfrax's jockey costume. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Go costume skin. What the hell am I talking about? His skin. You can get that in game and support him in what he's doing.
All right, are we ready to do a tip this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always looking for a tip, Brian. You know me.
All right. Well, tip of the week's where we go through and either give a general gaming tip or one for a specific game. And since Nick is all about the Dead by Daylight, and that's what we'll do for tip of the week. All right, so this one was actually suggested by Nick, and when a killer damages a generator, you'll notice that it throws sparks. And what ends up happening is it causes that generator to start deteriorating over time. And it will end up doing full damage to the generator if and here's the key, a player doesn't go and interact with it. So you could go whack it, go interact with it once, and then the generator will stop deteriorating. So if you see a killer, go up and just hit a generator and walk away. You need to make sure you get to it and interact with it before too much damage is caused by the generators. That's kind of one of those little skill tips that people can do, because a killer could just go and whack everything once and be like, hey, those things are going to lose health and have to be fully repaired if somebody doesn't have a chance to actually get to them all.
Yeah, so. And there's little things like that don't sound like they're a big deal, but little things like that even if you
all those little things you learn.
Yeah, and it'll end up getting out of a map much quicker if you can just stop the decay of the generator right away instead of letting it fester and it's not that it depletes it instantly, but it will over the course of a game deplete
over the game. Yeah.
So if you can stop it,
and you'll lose all that progress. If
you can stop it at 55% instead of 35%, you're talking minutes of the game that are of grave importance. So good tip. Good tip there, Brian. I'm glad you came up with that one.
Of the week.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, so we ready to roll on out of here?
We are. Again, quick note. Due to it being summertime, living's easy. There will be no
Nick's Single Life.
That's a song, but that's I think that's Sublime. Yeah, and just due to the summer schedule and everybody's got things going on, we're not going to do a structured game of the week every week. When there's something important, when there's something that is of relevance, we'll pencil it in there. But if you want to host a game of the week, if you're an individual that wants to host something, let us know. Send us a tweet or DM us on Discord or whatever. But so no scheduled game of the week this week. If you're around, though, let people know in Discord. Hop into one of the voice channels and get the troops behind you and start playing something. So other than that, I think we're good to go, Mr. Brian.
All right. Well, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. Make sure you go to infectionpodcast.com. On the right-hand side, join the Discord server. Suggest news to us throughout the week. That really helps us out. Also, join the Steam group so you can get a little notification before the live show starts. You have our YouTube channel there. All the audio forms at the top of the right. There's the link to our Twitch if you want to join us live. And then show notes for all the past episodes that we've ever done. Also, a support us link on the very left-hand side. You can get Humble Bundle purchases, and you can support us through Amazon using that. So thank you very much.
Alrighty. Thank you, Brian. Have a good one, and we will see you next week for all of the the highest fact gaming survival gaming podcast
voted most accurate.
Yeah. Yes, we need that. Voted most accurate by PC Gamer and Kotaku, the most accurate survival video game podcast. Thank you, Brian.
On Tuesdays.
Yeah, at this point, who cares? Thank you, and we will we'll see you next week.
Yep, see you later.
Alrighty, folks, again, you can join us live here on twitch.tv/Infection Podcast every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch. We do game giveaways. We do a whole bunch of cool stuff, so you can join us here live for that. If you missed any portion of the show, recommend you head on over to our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. My name is Nick Craig, at Nicholas M. Craig on Twitter. Until next time, have a good one.